Hey folks, Sean here, and in this episode, I want to talk to you about a strategy that is often not leveraged, which can make a significant difference in terms of bringing the best B2B SaaS product to market. And what I'm talking about is really the research in what's available and on the market today. Now, what I want to share with you as an example is you think about people wanting to innovate in different industries, different spaces, and I'm going to go away from B2B SaaS just for a moment. Let's say you're trying to make a better can opener or improve the automobile, right? Now, when people are trying to do that, do they start from zero and build the product from scratch, start over again, reinvent brakes, reinvent suspension, reinvent internal combustion, all of those different elements? No, right? They first figure out what are the top products on the market, which cars or which vehicles are performing the best. And let's figure out where those limitations of those products are at the moment. Why? Well, because I want to make a product that's better than those products, right? No one sets out to start from zero to make a product that isn't better than the current options available on the market, right? We're always trying to make a better mousetrap. So what's the way to ensure that you do that? Well, you need to figure out what the limitations are of the leading options on the market today. So what do? Well, you take a closer look at how well the current best products on the market perform. This is how many automotive manufacturers and physical product businesses operate when they're trying to innovate. Because I'm somewhat into cars myself, there's a vehicle, the new Corvette. They call it the C8 for the Corvette's 8th generation. It's a radically different design than previous generations. The key difference being that they moved where the engine is, which is a huge change. And they did that because where the engine was now the limitation. It was the bottleneck in the process. They couldn't build a car that was more performant unless they moved the engine, which would change the driving dynamics and characteristics dramatically. And in fact, many of the higher end brands, Ferrari, Lamborghini, etc., they have their engines in the rear of the vehicle. Helps for performance. So what did Chevy do when they were aiming to build a great version of that vehicle, which they traditionally hadn't built before? Well, they got one of the leading products on the market, and it was one of Ferrari's models, 458, I believe, and they reverse engineered it to a certain extent. They bought one, studied it, took it apart, got a better understanding of what they did or didn't do, figured out where its limitations may be, and then attempted to improve upon that. Now, that strategy is commonplace in the world of physical products, but not as often leveraged or not talked about a bit in the software world, especially B2B SaaS. So instead, what we wind up with, and what I typically see, are a bunch of products trying to reinvent the wheel, and most of them doing just an okay job at it at best. Kind of mediocre products, and you wind up with a lot of products that are good at one thing but bad at another. And it's very rare, in my opinion, to find a product that does all the important things well. Why is that? Well, I think it's because they're not taking the type of approach that I just described that Chevy often does and car manufacturers are when they're trying to build a better car. Why would I start from zero and reinvent a bunch of things, which is going to make my job infinitely harder? Instead, let's figure out what the best version of this product looks like on the market today, and let's build on top of that. Let's extend beyond and innovate in the areas where that product falls short in terms of what it could do to be better. I would encourage you to do this in B2B SaaS world. It's something that I do on a regular basis. When I'm looking to, number one, I start with the problem, of course. What's the problem that I need to solve and who am I solving it for? But then I go look for what are the better options at solving that today. What's coming up when I'm asking people, well, how are you solving that problem? And then I do some independent research myself and I figure out like what they might Google for to find a solution to that problem. I often find a handful of products, and I might find the more popular ones out there today. And then I sign up for and I use them and I figure out what I like and what I don't like. That gives me tons of inspiration for, number one, where I should start foundation-wise to make sure that I nail the experience, especially if these products are already doing a good job at it. So it enables me to skip the reinventing the wheel process so I can start way ahead of the game. And then number two, it helps me figure out, all right, well, what do I not like? What are people complaining about? Where could this be better, right? And I have those skills. because I've done this with products over and over and over again. I've studied usability at an expert level. So I can go in there and I could say, this is done in 5 steps. It could be done in 2. Or this one they're trying to do in 2, but that's confusing. They're skipping a lot. It should be more like 3 or 4. So I figure out some of the workflows, how those can improve, and some of the features that can be added on as well also. I'm working on one of those now with an SEO copywriting content tool that's going to incorporate some AI components. And I've studied a few products that I've used myself recently, and I'll probably post some videos where I break down how I'm kind of reverse engineering the existing products on the market to identify where some of these gaps in functionality can be that I can figure out how to make better myself if I were to design my version of that product. And in fact, I would encourage you, the listener, to reach out to me about this as well too. If you have, whatever product you're trying to build, I would encourage you to go find what are the top products on the market today that supposedly solve those problems, and then study them, right? Try to gain access to them, pay for them, whatever. This is all research, and it's important research. Figure out what they do well and figure out what they do not so well. Then feel free to send any of that information my way as well also. I can do some of this work on your behalf and create some content around it. So if there's any products you'd like me to tear apart and break down, I can evaluate them from the perspective of here's what I like, here's what I don't like. As in this isn't bad, but this could be better. Now keep in mind, some of this as well too, as much of it as possible really should come from your customers. So when you're testing this with your target market, that's what really matters. However, I've spent a lot of time figuring out how to get inside the heads of my users and customers. So I have some experience being able to make these improvements. But that's the homework that I would recommend. And this strategy is one that most don't take advantage of, but is one of the best opportunities for you to figure out how to bring a great B2B SaaS product to market. So I'd highly encourage you to leverage it.